Tony P., I too love the 80s.
Yes.
And I actually think 1983 happened to be a particularly good year.
It was a very good year.
No follow-up questions to that one. And listen, if that singer's voice sounded familiar or you happen to recognize the riff, it's because they absolutely dominated the 80s with this absolute banger.
That never gonna lose it, everything will work out right. I say we can dance if we want to, we can leave your friends behind, because your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance,
Tony, they're no friends of mine. We are talking about The Safety Dance by Men Without Hats, and if you are a fan of all things 80s, you might want to check this out. We are talking about the Totally Tubular Festival that is coming to the Warner Theater this coming Friday, August 7th. First, though, tonight, joining us now live, we are talking to Men Without Hats singer and founder Ivan Dorischuk, joining us now live. Ivan, thank you so much for being here and joining us here on the Live Zone Primetime on this Wednesday night.
That's great. My pleasure. Nice being here.
Well, it's truly an honor. And I got to start off by asking you, what is it about the 80s that is so tubular, that is so awesome? Why do people still love this decade so much?
I think it's the great songs. You know, the 80s gave us a lot of great music, a lot of great melodies, a lot of great sing-alongs. And I think people just love good music.
Now, it's really interesting for my generation. I obviously was not born in the 80s, but I have parents that told me how awesome it was. And now we're starting to see my generation, Gen Z, wanting to go back to the 80s. Looking at content, we're seeing like people want to go back to a time that they didn't know. And they're listening to songs from your band and others and really getting into 80s music. And the joke is now, no, we know this music. Let me ask you this. In your mind, why do you think younger generations are resonating so much with 80s music, in particular, new wave and synth pop, like, you know, Men Without Hats did for so many years and still does?
Well, I think this is the first generation that grew up with its parents' music. You know, I just think that the 80s generation imparted their love of music to their kids. I mean, I never listened to Frank Sinatra when I was growing up.
Wow.
I do now, but, you know, the kids today are listening to 80s music, and you can hear it all over the pop music, the new pop music on the radio. You hear the big 80s drum sounds, the synthesizers, the robot voices. It's all the influences are there. And the kids just love it. And that's what's great about our shows is we get to see our old fans, our original fans are there, but they bring their kids, sometimes even their grandkids.
Wow.
So it's a family affair. It's a lot of fun.
That's got to be incredible, the impact to have on 3 or 4 generations at this point.
Yeah, we're extremely fortunate that our music has been able to embed itself in popular culture the way it has. I mean, TV shows like Glee brought our music to a whole new generation of listeners, you know, and we're, like I said, we're extremely fortunate for that.
I mentioned that specific party
we were talking about that
to Tony before we came on the air. So before we get into some of the new music and some of the past music, talk to me a little bit about this Totally Tubular Festival. I know you have toured with that before. Is this coming Friday, though, your first stop rejoining the tour?
I'm rejoining the tour, yeah. The band is rejoining the tour this Friday, and yeah, we've toured with them before. We always have a blast. It's great, you know. Back in the days, I used to liken being in a young band kind of like being on a professional sports team. You know, you travel around the country, you're competing against other bands for press, for chart positions, for venues. You know, there's a lot of competition between new bands. But now with these guys, you know, the work's done. We're not there to push any new records. We're just there to play the hits and have fun. And it's like one big happy 80s family touring around the country and making people dance again.
Okay, well, you know, you're the one who taught us how to dance, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But A Flock of Seagulls, you guys, the producers, Animotion, the Escape Club, Tommy Two-Tone, what is it like kind of like reuniting with some of these other acts? And are there any other 80s acts out there that you wish could join, would join, or unfortunately no longer exist and could come back and would be a part of something like this?
Yeah, well, you know, I've been fortunate enough to just be able to tour with all my peers, and it's great. I mean, when I put the band back together in 2010, put us back on the road, our first tour was with the B-52s and the Human League, going across America, and that was like a dream come true. We're actually doing another couple of gigs with the B-52s coming up on the West Coast later on this summer. But yeah, there's it's all kinds. I mean, there's all different kinds of '80s tours out there, and we've been on a lot of them. We just got off a cruise, an '80s cruise, with Gary Newman and Berlin.
Where are these cruises? I need to go.
Right?
I need to go for
that is
1
right
week.
up our alley.
Now, let me ask you this: with a tour like this and a festival such as this, when you're working with so many bands together, making sure the act is all cohesive, how do you all work together? Like, do you plan certain songs that you're going to put for your act that complement other bands, or is it more just, hey, go up there, let's have a good time, and just free for all?
Yeah, I think we're just out there to have a good time. But one thing that's good and it's great for the fans that come and see us is that it's all killer, no filler. Each band up there is playing the hits. They're playing the songs
Got it.
that people want to hear. You don't have to wait till the end of the show or to the encore to hear the one the songs you came to hear.
Love that.
They're right up in your right in your face right from the beginning. So it's a couple of hours of just a greatest hits package. It's, like I said, it's a lot of fun.
Gotcha.
So, Ivan, the band formed, you're the founder of Men Without Hats, and we're going back now to 1977, next year marking 50 years. In your wildest dreams, did you imagine at the time that you would still be doing this half a century later, A? And B, what has kind of changed over time? What have you noticed or learned about not only the music industry, but fans touring the country in the process?
Well, I think the biggest thing about touring is that there's no room number on the hotel keys now, so it gets kind of confusing night after night. But yeah, I never expected to be here 50 years later. It's a blessing, I tell you. It's just it's another dream come true. I'm thankful to all the fans who are still listening to our music, who are the ones that are making it possible for us to be out here. So it's shout out to them because they're the ones that are making it come true.
Now, what's really fascinating to me is how you're one of the bands that pioneered this new wave synth pop era. From '77, we started in the early '80s, and it matured in the late '80s as well. In terms of that process, what was that like, being on the ground floor, yourself and so many other bands, trying to figure out this sound, synthesizers and the pop music and the beats that made your music so iconic? What was that process like, encountering a totally new art form and spin on it?
Yeah, it was totally new. It was exciting and a lot of new things going on. But I grew up in the '70s as a teenage music listener, So I listened to a lot of progressive rock music. I listened to a lot of bands like Pink Floyd and Genesis and King Crimson, and I was also front and center in the disco movement too. And what I've always said is that for me, new wave music, synth pop is a combination of those two genres. It's a combination. It's synthesizer music with a dance beat. It's synth music you can dance to. Combination of progressive rock music and disco. And that's what I brought to the table. It was my love of synthesizers and my love of dancing.
Wow.
Well, let's talk about dancing and let's talk about the safety dance. How did that song kind of change your life in the course of your career?
Oh, it was life-changing for sure. It was the genesis of the song was I was getting kicked out of clubs for pogo dancing whenever the DJ would slip on a Blondie's Heart of Glass or a Rock Lobster by B-52s.
Wow.
It was the dying days of disco, so they would slip in the odd new wave song. We'd get up and start pogo dancing, which was jumping up and down and bouncing off each other's chests. It was the precursor to the slam dance and the mosh pit. But the bouncers thought we were trying to start a fight, so we'd get kicked out, And I went home and decided to do something about it and wrote a song that told everybody it was safe to dance, and it's been safe to dance ever since.
Okay, well, that's actually one of my follow-up questions, which is in the era of these things, the smartphones and everybody recording everywhere they go, a lot of people don't feel like it's safe to dance anymore, and as a result, a lot of new clubs are actually instituting rules to kind of ban cell phones so that people feel more comfortable. Is it still safe to dance? Can we get back to the age of being safe to dance? And at these shows, can people dance?
Absolutely. That's what we're doing these tours for. It's to bring people back to a safer era, for people to express themselves. It was a lot of fun back in the 80s, and everything was new back then. It was, new clothes, new technology was coming in, video was brand new, computers were starting to creep their way into our lives.
Yes.
Nobody had cell phones, nobody had phones, no, everybody was just, it was all of the moment. And I think that's one of the things that people like about the 80s.
Now, when writing a song like this and you're building it, you have this great idea and like you just see life in front of you. Did you know at any point this could be a hit when you were writing it and when it was first starting to get rolled out, or was it all a surprise to you when this became an anthem, not just in that era, but for 30, 40 plus years now?
Well, I tell you what, I got to be truthful. When you're a young songwriter, you think that every song you write is a major hit,
Right.
You can't understand why people aren't just lining up to throw money at you.
Yeah.
But it was a surprise. It was actually we were in studio recording the follow-up album, and the record label decided to make a 12-inch remix, a dance remix, extended play of the song. And that mix went #1 on the Billboard dance charts. And that we got yanked out of studio, put in a tour bus, and we toured the world for the next 2 years promoting the first album before we could get back and finish the second one.
It was that quick.
Yeah, it was a surprise.
That's crazy.
And a great problem to have. Ivan, I have to ask you a question if it's okay, and this is a little bit of a confession. I was born in 1983, so a few years later,
that's
I
big.
actually discovered your music and the safety dance in particular via a very backwards route. I had a cassette tape of Weird Al Yankovic in 3D, and there was a parody cover on there called The Brady Bunch that was an homage to the safety dance. And so I'm curious to find out, did you like that cover? Did you like Weird Al Yankovic? Did that kind of introduce your music to a new audience the same way it did for me?
Oh yeah, having a song covered by Weird Al is, some people say it's even better than winning a Grammy. It was such an honor, I tell you, to have him do that, and we were extremely, extremely happy when it happened. It was great.
That's so funny. And like when you think about, so of course you have I Love the 80s, this new song that you wrote that came out and got almost 5 million views throughout social media. And of course, with the safety dance, you had, MTV and the views that came from that, the millions and all of that. From that type of virality in the 80s versus now, how do you navigate that? Like, what's the difference in how people interact with, music or hits now than they did then?
It's a lot different now, It's, bands that I discovered back in the 80s or when I was growing up in the 70s listening to music, sometimes, like, for example, Genesis, I saw a picture of Peter Gabriel in Cream magazine with, in full costume. And it took me about a year to finally actually hear the music.
Wow.
And I had to sort of just wonder and sort of guess what it was all about. But now, people they can text me in the morning and ask me what I had for breakfast. It's a different world, but it's great. I love the closeness of it right now. I love the fact that people are that close to the bands and can really get their input in there of what songs they want to hear in shows and ask you questions about, the backstory of songs or, albums and things. I think it's great.
And they almost see, bands like yours as refuge to a time that they wish they were going back to. And I think it's obviously a wonderful relationship. Now, going from the 80s to now, of course, you have the new album out, On the Moon, which is wonderful. I've listened to it, and it brings back a lot of nostalgia, even though it's not nostalgia for me, okay, but it is that 80s for me. And one of the songs, In Glorious Days, is basically one that you first have written and co-wrote on your own in a collaboration with Brian Howes. After decades of writing, largely, alone and on your own, what did collaboration open up for you in your songwriting process about lifelong learning and taking this new step in this part of your career?
It was a great experience for me. Brian is a very talented individual. He's a great producer. He's a great musician. He's been around all kinds of people. He has all kinds of secrets to impart. And just writing, with somebody else, it takes the pressure off a bit. It's you sort of, it's not all incumbent on me to come up with these songs. It was great having him as a co-writer, and he put some great stuff that I would have never have thought of, and that I really thought were, kind of made the songs in some instances. It was great.
You sure did.
Ivan, you mentioned bands like Pink Floyd, you mentioned, Genesis and Peter Gabriel. You also mentioned Frank Sinatra. My question, who are you listening to right now? Who's crushing it? And, who are your musical inspirations in modern day?
I still listen to a lot of 70s music. I listen to a lot of classic rock still.
Love it.
A lot of new wave, a lot of 80s stuff. I listen to the stuff that I listened to when I was growing up. I listen to the occasional, new stuff. When my kid plays it on the radio and he's listening to his own music, I'll lend an ear sometimes. But I'm mostly listening to a lot of stuff I listened to when I was growing up. I still listen to the Pink Floyds and the Genesis and Rush and all the stuff that I grew up with.
Heck yes.
I love that.
Yes. My dirty little secret is I also am a fan of the 70s, even though I was born in the 80s. And I have a whole vinyl collection that basically doesn't go past the year 1987.
That's the inspiration for me. I want tapes, VHSs, and all that. Now, back to this new album. So when you were writing all of these songs, collaborating, and really trying to build this out, how do you as an artist maintain the sound, the things that you created and that went viral for the whole world years ago? How do you maintain that sound while also pivoting and adapting to new audience tastes as well as existing audiences that want to see something similar?
Well, I'm a gear hound, so I actually kept a lot of the gear that we used on those first records. I have 5 synthesizers and all kinds of gear that I used back then. So it was easy. We just plugged in the old gear and rolled with it. And the new gear is it's so incredible. That it allows so much more possibilities. Back then, you were kind of limited by the 24-track tape. There was only so much you could put on a record. There was only so many ideas you could have. But now with computers, with digital recording, it's limitless. There's no end to what you can do. And so it was a combination of just the old and the new, and not trying to reinvent the wheel. We weren't trying to catch up with any kind of new trend or anything like that.
Yeah.
We're known for a certain sound, and people like that sound, and we've just been working at giving it to them every time we put something out. It's what we do.
And my final question is more just about artists generally. When you're building a new album like this and you have a bunch of tracks that you're working from, how do you narrow it down and pick the ones that you want the audience to see in real time?
Well, it's hard, like I said before, you think everything you write is
you still do throughout the years.
Yeah, but like for example, a track like "I Love the '80s," the hardest thing about that song was narrowing it down to 3 minutes and 30 seconds for radio. Because if we would have put all the references, all the '80s references that we had jotted down on a piece of paper before starting to record it, that song would have lasted a couple of hours. I tell you, we had so much fun with it. We had a lot of fun just making a top 10 of things we remembered and loved from the '80s and got them in there. But I think we're going to be doing a 12-inch remix of it too, so we'll have a chance to put a few more in. So it'll be good.
Love it. That's
Sounds
fantastic.
Amazing. Ivan, congratulations on the new album. Congratulations on all your success, 50 years. Just a reminder for people who want to come check you out this Friday at the Warner Theater, the Totally Tubular Festival. Ivan, where can people follow you if they want more Men Without Hats?
They can follow us on Facebook at the Men Without Hats page, and they can go to our website, safetydance.com. Has everything Men Without Hats all in one spot. So
I love it.
That's where they can get us.
Enjoy your time here in Washington,
Yes,
D.C.
welcome.
Have a wonderful show, and thank you again so much for spending some time with us here tonight. It's been an honor.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
All right. Have a great
That's
night.
awesome.
Tony T, how cool is that?
He's so nice too.
I know, right?
It's like-
I just,
that was great.
it's so funny, you know, a song like that has existed my entire life. And
Yeah.
I was joking with you, you know, I have a bunch of male cousins. We're all really close in age. Every single one of their weddings, my go-to request every single time was the safety dance. And no matter what, it just gets, are happy when they hear it. It is just such an upbeat,
it disarms
great song.
you.
And like he said, you know, Glee, which was one of those shows that was like so big at its time, right here on Fox 5, you know, it really introduced an entirely new audience to not only his music, but you know, all kinds of different music. And so, it has a place on my permanent playlist, as you can imagine. And
it's
I
iconic.
listen to it very more frequent. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up on my Spotify Wrapped every single year.
Well, think about it. So like that beat, da-da-da, da-da-da, that's a very unique sound, right? You can listen to it for 2 seconds and know who it is. That's creating an iconic moment in an era full of iconic moments. They have stood out the test of time.
I know, again,
it's hard to do.
I have to remind myself every so often that I'm older than you, but there was a show on VH1.
Yes.
It was very of my generation, and it was called Pop-Up Video.
I've heard of this.
Have you seen this music video before?
Of course I have.
It is an iconic music video, but but the pop-up video about it was just as, you know, revolutionary, and learning so much about it. The Punch and Judy, the Renaissance Fair, the Mummers, all of these different details about it, just fascinating. And so I love it. And
it's just
Tony P, I mean, what else can we say? But thank you to everyone out there who joined us here on our stream tonight on Fox Local and Fox 5 DC's YouTube page. I can think of no better way to end the show than just let the sounds of Men Without Hats do it for us.
Love it.
Fox 5 News at 10 coming your way next. We'll be back tomorrow night, same time, same place as always. Have a great night. It is safe to dance.
It sure is. Go out there and dance, folks.
Everything's out of control. But we can dance, we're doing it from pole to pole. But we can dance, everybody look at your hands.